as presiding member for today's Metro Outer Development Assessment Panel. First item is to declare the meeting open at 9:36 a.m. And in doing so, I acknowledge we're hosting this meeting on the traditional land of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. We acknowledge the Aboriginal people as the traditional custodians of Western Australia, pay respect to elders past and present, and the ongoing connection between people, land, waters and community. The meeting will be run in accordance with DAP Standing Orders 2025 and DAP Regulations 2011. The meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the DAP website. During the meeting, panel members may refer to technical devices to assist them in considering the information before them. I'll introduce the panel members. As I said, I'm the presiding member. My left is Karen Hyde, Deputy Presiding Member, and to her left is Dale Page, Specialist Member for today. For the City of Wanneroo, we have Councillor Jackie Huntley and Councillor Bronwyn Smith. And in Part C, we'll have Councillor Mel Congerton and Councillor Rod Henderson from the City of Swan. Item 2, apologies, I have none. Item 3, noting of minutes. The panel notes that minutes of previous meetings are on the DAP website. Moving on to Part B of the agenda, City of Wanneroo. First item is a declaration of due consideration, and panel members need to have considered all the documentation contained within Part B of the agenda and Part B related information. Could I please confirm by a show of hands that members have duly considered all information? Thank you, panel members. Item 2, disclosures of interest. Council members, was this item discussed or presented to a council meeting or briefing?
No.
No, thank you. Any other disclosures of interest at this point?
No.
If not, moving on to the actual formal application for 99 and 75 Dame Paddy Drive, Two Rocks, proposed Park Home Park. We have two presenters regarding this item, and I'll invite them to make their presentation. Firstly, Andrew Baranovsky from Plan E and Sandra Claridge from Two Rocks Development Company. Mr. Baranovsky, would you like to make your presentation? You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Presiding Member.
I've seen your presentation and read it. So.
Right, thank you. So our role on the process of landscape architects, and we're specifically referring to DA Condition 20 and 21. I guess we respectfully request that the removal of DA Condition 21, which requires preparation of environmental management re-veg plan. There already is a draft veg and fauna plan that's been prepared, and I think that does actually address the broader issues of environmental concern and management. And yeah, we believe that we don't need that condition. With respect to draft DA Condition 21B, it is noted that extensive slashing has already occurred on the site as a result of the UXO clearance undertaken. And I guess it's highly unlikely that particular species of the Brea saltbush, which has been referred to, is potentially not there. Interestingly, having visited the site a number of occasions after the UXO, there's quite a lot of revegetation starting to occur because it went through the winter period. So there potentially is that species that could be there, and we could look at collecting seed potentially and cuttings to basically grow that species on. And the intention is to use that species in the rehabilitation of the site in any event. So yeah, we've spoken to some experts. Previously, it was quite a difficult species to grow. We've now contacted a number of specialist nurseries that actually do grow that species on. So that's an option for us. But I guess, we did look at transplant if there was those species available, but in discussion with Trannon, who are experts in this field, and unfortunately, most natives are very difficult to transplant once they're in the ground. So really our only option is then to potentially collect seed and cuttings and grow that species on. In further discussions with Tranent, they have been collecting seed and cuttings along the coast where this particular species is prevalent, and having good success in actually propagating that species for rehabilitation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Panel members, any questions of Mr. Baranovsky? No? Okay, thank you.
I've just got one.
sorry.
Sorry, thank you for the presentation, Andrew. I mean, in terms of condition 20, which I believe you're comfortable with, that is finalising the draft vegetation and fauna management plan that you've already prepared and submitted. That condition requires that particular plan to ensure the protection and management of environmental assets on the development site. So the presentation that you've just made, would you envisage that the redrafting or the finalisation of that plan in accordance with condition 20 would take account of the things that you've just described?
Yes, it would.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Sandra Punch, make your presentation. You have 3 minutes as well.
We're obviously in support of the recommendation. I think that the development, we've worked extensively with planning and also all of our consultants to deliver a project that we think is pretty exceptional. The facilities, as well as the environmental assets that we're retaining on site, are pretty at high standard. The area that we are retaining, there's quite a significant journal system through the site that we are retaining, and that area will be rehabilitated, which is what Andrew was referring to. So the development overall takes into account many aspects that obviously are there for our users, our homeowners who are over 50, but also provides them exceptional facilities and for their use. And it's as if they're on holidays every day for our residents. So we're very proud of what we've been able to deliver. And just with regards to condition 20 and 21, I have spoken to the City of Wanneroo, and they do agree with our position that we feel that that condition can be removed, and there is the capacity with the current conditions or the remaining conditions to deal with the environmental aspects and also with the landscaping. So I've spoke with them yesterday and they concur with our position. So we ask that you support the development, including the removal of condition 21.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, any questions of the presenter?
Yes, please, just two, if I may. And the first one is just curiosity, and it's about the land use. And I'm keen to understand your business model, given the quality and the cost of your supporting infrastructure and facilities. Why have you chosen park and not retirement village or other land use?
It's how it is a land lease product. So the way that we deliver that, it enables our homeowners to be able to, if they're on a pension, to receive rental assistance. So we've done extensive research in doing this, and we feel the Park Home Park approval provides us additional capacity to deliver what we need to for our residents. So the home itself doesn't change in terms of whether it's a group dwelling or a Park Home Park, but we ensure that it does meet the legislation required for it to be a Park Home Park.
Thank you. And then I just wanted to check in, condition 5 requires contributions towards development infrastructure in line with the DCP and the scheme. So are you comfortable there's adequate understanding and agreement between yourselves and the city as to what your obligations are in this regard?
Yes. It's something to do with many to contribute to the broader community in terms of
the specifics of that. You're across, and that's all.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Panel members, are there any further questions of the presenter?
Just one. Thank you, presiding member. Karen Hand speaking. You've obviously got your subdivision approval, and that provides us with a layout. And at what point do you start to introduce different typologies or of the actual accommodation? How do you set about doing that?
So once the subdivision creates the parent lot, and that's currently being managed by the current landowner, we will settle on that over the next couple of months. Once that's been cleared, with this DA, we are moving straight into detailed documentation and straight to civil works. We anticipate being on site in July this year.
Okay, so are there a suite of accommodation types that people choose, or how do you go about that?
So we already have a sales campaign. We've nearly sold out of our stage 1 already. So they are able to choose. We actually place most of the homes on certain lots. So if they like a certain location, they could choose whether it's a 1 or 2 or 3 bedroom home. They have a choice of the type of home that they need, whether it's a single or a double or a couple. Or if they prefer a home type, then we can advise them which lots that they can actually have those home types, and they choose it that way. So we do the civil work. It's just like a typical subdivision. We create the infrastructure, the roads, the sewer, the water, and so on. And then we build the homes. We either deliver them to site or we deliver them close by and transfer them over. They are also a shell, and then we fit them out and take them on site. So when complete, it looks just no different to.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, councillors? If not, oh yes, councillor Huntley.
Yeah, I just have one question. Obviously, this is a large area in Two Rocks being developed. I'm just wondering if there is any consideration with wildlife management and that big section, which is at the moment fire zoned, and you're actually leaving that. Will you allow the wildlife on there, or are you going to barricade them off?
It would be something that I'd have to seek advice from our consultants in terms of whether we'd need to fence that. I would assume that we wouldn't. It would be open. But we do have 100-metre separation, which is being maintained into the adjoining landowner's land. And that's part of the clearing that has already been done to allow us to have our bushfire setback. So there will be 100-metre separation between our boundary and where the actual remnant vegetation is. So that is outside our property. So we obviously will fence when we're constructing to do with dust mitigation and obviously to protect our civil works and to keep people out. But in terms of just where that boundary is, because it's in Capricorn Village land, I'd say it would remain open.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's nice to actually see a corridor being maintained there. I was quite pleased to see that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So no further questions. Okay, well, we thank you very much to the presenters. We'll now move on to council staff, Dan Sheehan and Nick DeVicus. Would you like to make any comment on what you heard to date, or would you happy to go straight to questions?
I just have a short comment, if I may, just on the overall assessment and some of the comments made today. Just in relation to the zoning, obviously this is a discretionary land use subject to advertising. The land is zoned residential. Parkholme Park is capable of approval. We also think it meets the residential objectives for the area, providing over 50s accommodation in a plan integrated format. In terms of density, the site proposes 361 sites, which falls within the anticipated residential yield for the precinct. While the built form differs from conventional housing, the overall residential intensity is consistent with the strategic planning framework. The design review panel supported the architectural response and coastal character, and conditions require detailed landscaping and engineering documentation. Traffic was a key matter raised during the consultation period. The traffic impact statement forecasts approximately 1,100 vehicle movements per day, which is within the capacity of the planned road network. A shared path along down Paddy Drive has been conditioned to support safe pedestrian and cyclist connectivity. Of the 96 submissions, we received 87 submissions of support for the development, Objections primarily relating to traffic and land use suitability, which has been addressed through the technical assessment and conditions. In relation to the environmental matters, conditions were originally imposed following the referral to DBCA and based on the site's condition prior to works. Since that time, the site has been fully slashed under separate subdivision requirements to investigate and manage UXOs. As a result, condition 21, which was framed in response to the pre-slashing environmental state, is no longer relevant or capable of meaningful implementation. The city therefore supports its removal. Importantly, there is a landscaping plan condition at condition 14 and a VFMP at condition 20, which can address the reuse of any species on site worthy of retention. The city is happy to work with the applicant through the clearance of those conditions. Separately, a UXO condition has also been imposed on the development approval, and this ensures that UXO investigations and certification are completed prior to any development works commencing, particularly given the works may begin before subdivision clearance is formally issued. So subject to the removal of condition 21, the city still maintains its support for the development.
Thank you very much. Panel members, do you have any questions of the staff? Yes, Member Page.
Just about a couple of the conditions, if you don't mind. So in relation to condition 7, which requires that lighting shall not cause annoyance to the public, how do you determine this? Is that an Australian standard that needs to be adhered to, and anything beyond those levels is considered annoyance?
Yes, I believe our health department will monitor that. So if there is any, I guess, complaint relating to illumination from any signage, the health department goes out and determines if it meets the relevant standards or not. And it's dealt with usually by a cone or control of the luminance or anything like that.
Yep. So they rely on the Australian standard as the determinant of annoyance or not?
Yes.
Okay. And then in a previous meeting some months ago, I seem to recall one of your elected members queried the need or not for a time frame to be placed on the requirement to remove graffiti. I think it's condition 29. The condition 29, as it's worded now, doesn't have a time frame, but is that your standard practice, just to give you that flexibility in dealing with it?
That's correct. We've changed the wording of the condition.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Member Hyde.
Thank you. Just in terms of condition 4, which requires development to be in accordance with the Caravan Parks and Camping Grounds Regulations 97, would that normally be an advice note, or what is the power under the scheme to impose that as a condition?
To be fair, it's really a double up of a condition. It's if that's relatively covered anyway by the condition number 2, which is the land use definition.
Yeah. Okay, lovely. Thank you. And yeah, I don't think I've got another question. Thank you.
Okay, councillors, did I see Councillor Smith? No? Okay, no further questions. All right, well, thank you, council staff, for answering the questions. We'll move on to the agenda, and we move on to the report and discussion on it as a panel. Before we do that, I will need a mover to speak to the motion. Do I have a mover for this recommendation as published? Member Hyde. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Huntley was first off the rank. Okay. Member Hyde, you wish to speak.
Yes, thank you. I'm comfortable with supporting this application for a park home park, noting whilst it's an A use that it has been appropriately advertised, and also noting that there was broad community support of those submissions received rather than objections. I think it's consistent with the scale and nature for future developments and the vision for that area. And note that it would have a similar yield to, if you like, a regular residential development. So comfortable with that density. I think there's been adequate investigation into traffic, and that works within the existing road network. I think there's satisfactory technical supports which further address any concerns around traffic and density. I'm happy therefore to support, subject to conditions, and also a couple of amendments which I would like to propose.
Okay, fine. Fire away.
So
Amendment number 1.
Amendment number 1 would be to delete condition 21.
Okay, you're moving that. Do I have a seconder? Member Page.
Thank
Yes,
you.
you just looked at that.
Don't need to say very much. I think it is in effect taken as a raw statement from referral agencies, and I think the conditions on site have changed significantly. So I find it not necessary at this point. I think the matters that it would have covered or is proposed to cover are actually covered by other conditions requiring landscape plan and also fauna and vegetation management plan. And we've heard from both the applicant and the city officers that there's an agreement that this condition can be removed.
Thank you. Seconder, wish to speak?
Okay.
No. Any other member wish to speak? Councillor Huntley?
Yeah, only to agree with deletion of condition 21, and probably I'm not sure about condition 4, whether we should actually delete that because it is covered in other conditions. But I'll ask member Karen Hyde if she can if she can work that out, if that's appropriate to do. The other thing, I am so pleased to see technically a corridor. I'm very happy with the fact that this is
Councillor, we can't discuss the overall development.
No, sorry.
Amendment, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. And obviously it conforms with all the regulations and the policies, so I'm happy to support.
Okay, thank you. As mover, do you wish to close?
Only just in response to Member Huntley, I would foreshadow an amendment to condition 4 as well, but I'll do that as a separate amendment.
Councillor Smith, did you want to speak to the amendment? No, okay, I won't speak to it either, but Member Hyde, do you wish to close debate?
Done that.
If not, I'll call for a vote on amendment 1. All those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you. Amendment 2.
Yes, my second amendment is to move the wording in condition 4 to an advice note.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that? Yes, Councillor Huntley. Okay.
Just briefly, it refers to other legislation. The power to determine the appropriateness and the form and function of this land use is under the scheme, which is dealt with by earlier conditions. So as the city officers have advised, this is a duplication, and it's not necessary to have it as an advice note, but it's just a bit of, I suppose, belt and braces to move it to an advice note.
Thank you. Councillor Huntley, as seconder, you wish to speak?
No, that's
Okay. Any other member wish to speak to the item? No. I'll go straight to a vote on it then. All those in favour of amendment 2? Thank you, that's unanimous.
I'll leave it there, thank you.
Okay, so you've spoken to the item. Seconder, Councillor Huntley, you've spoken. Do you wish to speak to the substantive motion again?
no, that's fine.
Okay, fine. Any other member wish to speak to the substantive motion as amended? Member Page?
Look, I'll support the recommendation. I think there's a growing demand for accommodation like this, and I think this is a great spot for it. Particularly pleased to see the high quality of the facilities proposed for the people who will live in this development. Not only the built form, but the nature of the facilities. I note the exact siting and detail of the individual homes will come later, but the renders in the applicant's report give me comfort that, and from the discussion we've had today, give me comfort that the dwellings will also be a high quality design. Given the site is currently vacant and been cleared previously, I'm comfortable there aren't any undue environmental impacts as a result of this proposal, and any potential impacts will be managed through conditions. Heartened by the fact that there were 90 submissions received during the public consultation process, shows me there was a good awareness of this proposal, and only 6 of those were objections to the proposal. So in my mind, that is a very strong show of community support for it, and that's always a positive. The issues that were raised in the objections, in my view, have been responded to and dealt with appropriately in the report. Specifically, I'm comfortable that this is a suitable land use for the site. It aligns well with the objectives of the residential zone, and the number of dwellings proposed fall way short of what could otherwise be developed under the density coding applicable to the site. From what I've seen in the report and in the applicant's report and from the plans attached, I think the nature and design of the development will fit comfortably within the established residential context. I'm also satisfied that the traffic to be generated is likely to be less than that would have been generated by other types of residential development, and the numbers fall well below those which were modelled as part of the structure planning process. More than enough parking on site for staff and visitors, and note that parking for residents will be dealt with as part of the detailed design of each of the dwellings. So very happy to support this proposal for a different and much needed type of accommodation in a great location. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Smith, you wish to speak to the item? No? Okay, I will just mirror my support for the foregoing reasons that other members have put in place or demonstrated. The development has been thoroughly assessed. I think that it's a reflection of the high quality that's proposed. The officers have undertaken a thorough assessment of the proposal, and any concerns that have been raised have been addressed primarily from a traffic point of view and land clearing, which has already been through a land clearing approval process through the rezoning for the land in the structure planning stage. And I think it should result in a fairly high quality development for land use that's being demanded in that location. So I'm supporting it. That being the case, I'll refer back to the mover. Member Hyde to close debate.
I don't wish to say any more. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Then I'll put the recommendation as amended with the 2 amendments that we voted on to vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, so the application is approved. To item 4 on part B, there are no Form 2 DAP applications. Item 5, SAP reconsiderations, there are none. That being the case, I'll thank Councillor Huntley and Smith for your participation. Local government staff, thank you for your attendance and participation, and the presenters, thank you. And we'll now move on to part C of the agenda for the City of Swan.
Thank you.
Shuffle the chairs. Okay. Yes, okay, we're now on part C of the City of Swan agenda, and I'll welcome back Councillor Congerton and Councillor Henderson. I'm no C. Okay, and panel members, in doing so, I will seek consideration that you've considered all the documentation contained within Part C of the agenda, Part C related information. By a show of hands, that members have considered all that information. Thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Disclosures of interest. Councillors, has this item been before a briefing or meeting of council?
Chairman, the matter in a similar manner to do with the urban deferment came to council, but not this actual item, but it had in its previous form been to council.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other disclosure of interest at this point, councillors, other members? No. Okay, well, we'll move into the item 5892 Morella Road, Bullsbrook, proposed extractive industry, extension of time for the approval. We have one presenter, Cassia Betka from CDB Town Planning and Urban Design, and we have members of the applicants and landowners to speak to us if required. Cassia, you have 3 minutes to make your presentation. We have read it all before, so.
Great, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present this deputation in support of the application for the continuation of the extractive industry on the subject site. We act on behalf of the landowners. In attendance is Stephen Elliott from Urban Resources, the operator of the mine site, and Candice Haleen from CDP in the event that there are any legal questions pertaining to the application. We support the City of Swan's recommendation in relation to this application, the recommendations for approval, and we acknowledge and appreciate the significant time and effort that the officers have dedicated to assessing this proposal. I would like to highlight some of the key considerations in support of the approval that we are seeking. The existing sand mine is a well-established and well-managed operation. The application seeks to continue a permissible use in a rural zone, consistent with the importance placed on facilitating the extraction of raw material as set out in state planning policy. The sand extraction operation has been running successfully for the past 16 years, since 2010, with minimal incident or complaints. This application seeks no material changes to the currently approved or existing operation. The proposal simply enables the continuation of an established, well-managed use that has demonstrated ongoing compliance with regulatory and operational requirements. The proposal will facilitate critical supply of sand for housing and infrastructure projects. Demand for sanding is currently at a record high levels due to unprecedented demand for housing and construction activity across the region. This site is strategically located to efficiently supply sand for both current and future residential subdivisions in the city of Swan and beyond, and the planned Tonkin Highway interchange works, which are located approximately 1 kilometre to the northeast. It is our understanding that the interchange will likely commence construction in the first half of 2027. The proximity of sand mine to the interchange provides a logical sand supply opportunity for the interchange construction works and will expedite the time frame from the removal of the sand from the subject site. All environmental approvals required under relevant legislation, including vegetation clearing permits, are currently in place. The proposal continues to operate within these approved parameters, ensuring ongoing environmental compliance. The long-term urban development intention for the surrounding sites is recognized. But it is to be noted that future rezoning, structure planning and subdivision processes will appropriately manage and coordinate the transition from extractive industry to urban development. Urban Resources, as an operator, has demonstrated a proactive and collaborative approach to staging and mitigation measure to ensure minimal interface or impacts as urban development advances in the future. We are generally very comfortable with the recommended conditions, with the exception of perhaps condition number 2, which requires a 5-year approval period or limits the approval period to 5 years. Our preference would be for a 10-year period as originally applied for, ensuring the full exhaustion of the research without the need for a repeated application. This would simply allow us plenty of time to take the resource out, noting that it is likely the operation will cease sooner than that. In conclusion, the proposal represents a continuation of a well-managed and strategically important sand extraction operation that is critical to supporting housing and infrastructure delivery in the region. It aligns with planning policy, complies with environmental requirements, and provides clear community and economic benefits. For these reasons, we respectfully request the panel to support the application. Thank you. We're ready to answer any questions in the event.
Thank you, Kasia. Panel members, do you have any questions of the presenters? Councillor Henderson, yes.
Thank you. Very pleased to see this progressing. The real question is around the 5-year versus the 10-year request that you made for the licence. Will you principally remove virtually all of the available sand that you need to mine within a 10-year period? So it could be less, in fact.
Perhaps I'll defer to Steve.
For 10 years, the available sand.
Sorry, Mr. Elliott is from
Stephen Elliott.
Stephen
Urban
Urban
Resources.
Resources. Thank you.
The planned resource of remaining, based on our average offtake of 500,000 tonne a year, should be depleted somewhere around 7 or 8 years, maybe a bit more. 5 years is unlikely unless we exceed those volumes to deplete the entire resource. And of course, the infrastructure sales are market driven. They're extremely buoyant at the moment, with several subdivisions in the area already with firm orders, the Tonkin North interchange as mentioned, plus several other projects in Brabham, which will source material from here once the interchange is constructed, changes the geographical dynamics of the site quite dramatically. The 10 years, it would be very surprising if we did not achieve full extraction prior to the 10 years, but my numbers sort of indicate that 5 years may result in the need for another approval going forward. And given that the site's been operating under a series of approvals for over 16 years without incident, I don't see a real issue with a 10-year application that secures this resource availability, given that the market does come and go, despite how it feels at the moment. Like it's going to, I don't know if this will go on forever. I doubt it will. But
thank you for the expanded question. Perhaps the next part that follows from this is, when you finish your extraction, will the levels be at a level that would be suitable for a house to be put on? In other words, the right levels that you'd normally set for housing?
We're currently working to a design that's well separated from the water table and is in line with either, as it's currently being worked, as just rehabilitated. But if it goes to future housing, which is a separate approval under application, the way we're leaving the site enables that without further work. So we're actually working to a finished level that would accommodate either its current rehab use or the future urban use, which
thank you. In light of that, I'll be looking for an amendment, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Condon, do you have any questions?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, other panel members, any questions of the presenters? No? Okay, thank you. Thanks very much for that. We'll now move to council staff, Mr. Tompkin and Mr. Russell. Would you like to make any comment on the presentation and questions answered to date, council staff?
Mr. Chairman, I think the report is self-explanatory in the city staff's recommendation to yourselves as panellists, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks very much, Mr. Russell. Panel members, any questions of Mr. Russell or Mr. Tompkin? Yes.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. The question of 5 years versus 10 years, did any of the referral agencies suggest 5 years?
Through you, Madam Chair, when you say the referral agencies,
Department of Planning.
the Department of Planning didn't make any particular comment on this application. I think to expand on what I've just said, that you can no doubt understand the principal issue here is the appropriate management between what is a rather vague notion of concurrent residential development which is hoped for, and extraction. Now, neither the Metropolitan Region Scheme Amendment nor anything in the original application grappled with that question. I called the owners in and the applicants to get a better understanding, given it's the one landowner, how they're proposing to integrate these two proposals. Now, as the report says, the primacy must sit with all of the statutory facts to the extraction. But it's still not clear to me what the owners actually want to do with this longer term. If their preference is for this to go to urban, then what you're looking at, and certainly this is what would happen with a 10-year approval, is you're exacerbating what could be on the face of it a problematic land use conflict. And certainly in relation to an extraction activity occurring on urban zone land under the Metropolitan Region Scheme, a very clear non-conforming use situation. I don't think it's prudent as planners to provide a 10-year extension. And in actual fact, that may well end up creating a problem for the very owners themselves to grapple with. Are they for urban or are they for extraction? Because the application, as is clear to you, has said we'll deal with it down the track. It troubles me somewhat, Mr. Chairman, that there hasn't been more detail around how this will work together, particularly if the proponents are after a 10-year. I can't recommend it. For all of these reasons, rationally, we've indicated it prudent for a 5-year approval.
No further questions.
Member Page, do you have any further questions?
Yes, please. Just a clarification, if I may. On page 4 of your report, it states that no submissions were received during the consultation period, but in the paragraph below, it says that 4 submissions were received. I'm assuming the latter is correct, given there's a little bit of detail about what the concerns were.
That is correct. That may have been, I thought that inconsistency had been removed from the final version because I was alive to it, but most certainly there were submissions received, 3 submissions with respect to environmental concerns, but prudently, 1 submission from Parcel, who are one of the entities engaged in surrounding urban development, that has expressed the same sorts of concerns that we've attempted to address in the report around urban, sitting cheek and jowl with extraction.
Any further questions from panel members? I do have a question. Phil, in terms of the primacy of the uses, the extractive industry has been going for 16 years. The rezoning proposals have sort of been in place for several years. The issue, I think, is going to be, or do you agree the issue is going to be the truck traffic moving through land to the north, which the landowners are hoping to accelerate for residential and urban development. Is that correct?
Well, there's 2 things, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Parcel are concerned about the implications of through truck traffic on the existing and future road network as it's developed. So that's their concern. But that's not the sole concern from our point of view. Certainly, as I said, just as critically, from what the proponent has described, and this wasn't in the original application, but after our meeting with them was included subsequently in the application, some address as to how they foresee what I call a concurrent arrangement of urban residential development occurring on the site with extraction. Now, as Mr. Elliott has responded to Councillor Henderson's question, which is the same thing he said to me in our meeting, is that the intention ultimately, if it goes to urban, will be as they finish an extraction stage to set levels back at the appropriate levels for residential subdivision. But for mine, the question is going to be how they manage an adjoining residential subdivision with an adjoining extraction. activity. And where are the control measures? Are they imposed on the subdivider, or ought they to be imposed subsequently on the applicant? So it's a bit of the traffic issue for adjoining areas, but it's also still an issue for proximate urban residential development within this very site itself.
Wouldn't it be normal that the extractive industry has got a buffer around it, and that buffer would be maintained? Obviously, it would move as the front of their extraction occurs, and anything within that buffer could not be approved for sensitive land uses. Would that be correct?
Well, that may well entirely be the case, but what I'm saying in relation to that, if you look at the nominal buffers, whole swaths of this site would be ineffectively prevented from being developed for urban residential. So my great concern from the outset was the lack of considered integrational thinking with some level of detail as to how these things could happen, because it may well be if the extraction has the right, as it would, and then the proper application of state planning policy subsequently would be, and you can rezone something urban, but it would be in effect of no consequence, because the effect of the nominal buffer, unless it could be reduced through management measures, the effect of the nominal buffer would prevent large areas, the majority of this site, from actually being developed for urban residential.
Could it not stay urban deferred then?
Well, that's the. It may well be, but that goes back to what the Metropolitan Region Scheme report postulated in the first instance, that it would be urban deferred until the extraction occurs. So if the proponents, or is finished, if the proponents want to have a 10-year time frame, it takes them 10 years, then the proponents that are pushing for this land to be rezoned to urban will be sitting with urban deferred until the proponents have completed Mr. Elliott has completed the extraction. Mr. Chairman, I was greatly troubled by these inconsistencies and incongruities in relation to the competing proposals for this land by the owners, and how they actually think it could be done at the same time. So the reports highlighted those concerns. It can't provide a remedy to it. The only thing I can say prudently, going back to the point I've made several times now, is that for all of these reasons, a 5-year time frame, I think, is proper.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Russell. No further questions? Okay, well, we have before us the recommendation, and as a panel we need to discuss it. So before we do that, may I have a mover for the motion to approve as published? Yes, Councillor Henderson. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Congerton, thank you. Councillor Henderson, speak to the motion, please.
Thank you. And the inputs much appreciated, with the background and the detail from the city staff. One of the things that also impacts this in the longer term, and we don't have a time frame on it, is that there will be an overpass at some time on Morella Road over Tonkin Highway, and that, of course, links directly into the bottom end of this proposal. So that in itself won't probably happen until the urban comes along, but the point is the question of what's going to happen with further north development will also hang around whether that overpass gets built. So that complicates the matter. But in terms of the actual extraction, it's needed. Everyone agrees. That I fully support. I do think that if a 10-year time frame is granted, that will effectively get it all done. Do you want me to move my amendment at this time, Mr. Chairman, or at a later time?
If you have an amendment foreshadowed, yes, move that now. That'd be appropriate.
Yes, thank you. That the approval number 2 be valid for a 10-year period, or it says 10 years.
Okay, thank you. So that's amendment 1 to condition number 2 to extend the approval period to 10 years. Do I have a seconder for that, please? Yes, Member Hyde. So Councillor Henderson, please speak to the item.
Happy to, if there's anyone against.
Okay, well, you've spoken to the item. You're happy with that?
For the amendment, I think it's logical that we do give them the opportunity to get it all done rather than having to go back for maybe 2 or 2.5 years to finish the job. So I think it's logical that we do this, and that puts it to bed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Member Hyde, you're seconder. You can speak to the item.
Thank you. From the applicant, and consistent with condition 3, which limits the amount of tonnage that can be extracted per year. I'm comfortable with an extension to 10 years, which, as the applicant suggests, may or may not be required. But I think as we have here an essential resource for the development industry, it's important that that extraction should be completed. And I think therefore there's no reason not to allow a 10-year period to enable that to happen. In accordance also with condition 3, as I say, which limits the extraction per year. The issue of what may or may not be in this area in terms of residential development, and whether we should or shouldn't consider a 10-year process, there's an awful lot of unknowns about that, and it becomes very difficult therefore to look at the future and say with any certainty, yes, development will occur here 6 years from now, or 5 or 7 years from now. There's a lot still within the planning framework that has to be done in order to enable this land to and adjacent land to be converted to residential development and furthermore occupied by residents. And given those uncertainties, and given that this is a development that has been underway for the last 16 years, another 10 years to complete that extraction, I think, is quite reasonable. And should development come forward of a residential or a more sensitive nature in proximity, then obviously those development applications will need to take account of the context of that day, and vice versa. The annual rehabilitation plan that is required under other conditions will need to take account of that changing context too. So I'm comfortable with a 10-year programme. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member wish to speak for or against the item? Okay, I tend to agree that a 10-year period is warranted as far as the amendment is concerned. 5 years, given the time frame for scheme amendments and structure planning, it may well take almost that time to get them completed and adopted. And also the construction of the interchange at Tonkin Highway is going to take, well, it won't start at this stage until 2027, maybe later. And that'll take 2 or 3 years to construct. So we're looking at about 4 or 5 years from now anyway. So I'm satisfied that the primacy of the current extractive industry will prevail. And given that Urban Resources aren't the landowner, they're leasing, or they've got some sort of arrangement with the proponents, the landowners. The conflict will be between the landowner and the Urban Resources, so that will be up to them to sort out. So given that, I'll go back to the mover of the amendment, Councillor Henderson, to close debate.
Thank you, Chairman. I think we've covered it all. It makes common sense to progress it in this manner. Thank you.
Okay, I'll put the amendment to extend the time period for 10 years for condition 2. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, moving back to the substantive motion, councillor Henderson, do you wish to continue?
Just a couple of other points. It was touched on earlier that it's going to take time to get these things done. I think the proponents have worked out all of those things for their move to future urban development. The North-East corridor has been planned for significant future development, and certainly on the western side of Tonkin Highway, the reason that bridge will be put over Morella and Tonkin is to be able to expand the western side. So the need is there for the sand. There's also a need there for silica, and the longer term will be to develop further in the North-East corridor, which is what the City of Swan has advocated since the 1990s. So I think that covers my input. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Seconder, councillor Condon, do you wish to speak to the item, please?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Just very briefly, I concur with Councillor Henderson's comments and those being made by the panellists. I think it's important to understand that the adjacent landowners didn't make comment, so they're obviously very happy with the subject site and the delivery of the product that it delivers to the marketplace for our future housing. So I'm very happy to support the item.
Okay, thank you. Other panel members wish to speak to the item? Member Page.
Yes, briefly, thank you. I'm also happy to approve as recommended. It's a continuation of a use that's been in place for some time without any major concerns or impacts on the surrounding area during that time. There were some concerns raised during consultation, specifically about environmental impacts and truck traffic. In relation to environmental impacts, these were subject to previous assessment. No changes are proposed to the operation as part of this application that would create additional impact or warrant further investigation. In relation to traffic, the operation has been using the same access route for about 10 years with minimal issue, and I note that the access arrangements are not proposed to change. So I'm satisfied, therefore, that there are no traffic or access concerns that would warrant refusal of the application. I therefore think that the concerns have been satisfactorily addressed in the RA, and so very happy to support.
Thank you. Yes.
Just briefly, presiding members, I've already stated I'm happy to support this as an essential resource for the urban development that we so badly need. I'm also very comfortable with the remainder of the conditions. I think it's a fairly tight set of conditions actually that does control this development significantly in terms of the hours of operation, in terms of staged rehabilitation, in terms of annual reporting, wastewater management, etc. So I'm very comfortable that it's actually a well-contained and well-controlled set of conditions, and obviously the operator has been there for some time without major complaints, so I'm comfortable to support its ongoing operation. Thank you.
Thank you. I too concur with the previous comments regarding the application and the controls that are in place to allow it to continue. I'll just make one point of clarification. Councillor Henderson, you did mention an interchange or an overpass at Morella Road, Tonkin Highway interchange. I think it's further north than that. Just for clarification, I don't think there's.
I think you may well be right. The exact location is yet to be decided, depending on some environmental issues around that area.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that being the case, I'll go back to you, Councillor Henderson, to close debate on the item.
Thank you. I'll be brief. The thing that happened originally about this site from a city perspective was a refusal from the city on environmental grounds because of the Banksia woodlands that effectively was dealt with by the WA Planning Commission as it was advised to them. Given that that's now the situation and this is an application to move forward, I'm more than happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll then put the amended recommendation that we've discussed. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to the agenda. Item 4 of Part C, there's no Form 2 DAP applications. Item 5, SAT reconsiderations, there are none. Part D, Item 1, SAT applications, Supreme Court appeals, they're listed on the DAP website. That being the case, I will close the meeting at 10:35 a.m. Thank the panel members, presenters and staff for your participation, and see you next time. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you, councillors.
See you next time.